Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only Ross Mathews.
Hi, how are you?
How are you, Ross? Welcome behind the velvet rope.
Oh God, it's so nice back here. Oh, look around. Oh wow, we're behind the velvet rope. Cute. I'm so happy to talk to you, and I am wonderful. I'm so grateful. So I'm in a good place, you know?
Listen, a good place. Are you in New York or Palm Springs? I know you split your time between the two.
I'm in New York right now, and it's not freezing yet, so we're good. It's actually a beautiful day here, and it's fall. You know what I mean? I'm in a movie. You know, like the leaves are falling from the tree. It's so cute.
I've been in the Hamptons all summer. I'm still here, and I cannot wait to get back to New York this Saturday. It's like
Yeah.
I need some New York City in my life.
You do. Well, it's beautiful, and but it could not. You know, you're right. I lived in Palm Springs. I still live there. I split my time between. But nothing is more diametrically different than Palm Springs and New York in the winter. But it's stunning. I don't know. I kind of into both of them.
Well, listen, I said hello. I really should say hello, Ross. I mean,
Yeah.
congratulations on the new podcast.
Thank you. It's really exciting. I've been in the podcast world for a long time, since like 2012 or 13 or something. I kind of did it as like a little secret to get, just get to talk smack, and not about people, but I mean, just with my friends. We would just like talk and make each other laugh and like giggle and sort of say things we couldn't say on TV. And so now podcast, it used to be the Wild West of broadcasting. Now it's become like this huge, powerful platform. So I kind of thought, what could I do with a podcast if I really did it, didn't just use it as an excuse to sort of like talk with my friends and giggle, but really do it. So, I started Hello Ross, and it's every week somebody truly fascinating stops by to talk to me. And we have these in-depth conversations, the kind you can't have on TV because there's time limits. You understand, you do it here too.
I do. And listen, and yes, I agree with everything you said about podcasting. And you really do get in depth and you get to really know someone better, I find,
I think so. I think so often when you just get a snippet of people, and I've been in this boat too, when you just give a snippet of yourself, people think that's all you are, but we are so much more, we're all the feels. And so in a podcast, you can kind of explore that. You talk to funny people who have trauma in their lives, who have loss in their lives, who have come through it. And like, for example, Chelsea Handlers was on my first episode, and we talk about losing our parents. And I was on Chelsea lately with her for 7 years. We never talked about losing our parents, but of course we talked about it off camera. So here's a chance to really show what our real conversations are. And it's also funny.
Well, listen, I mean, way to show the rest of us up, Ross, because yes, your pilot episode is Chelsea Handler. So, thank you for like setting the bar for the rest of us really damn high.
And then episode 2 is Guy Fieri coming up. We have Chelsea, we have Todrick Hall, Kathy Griffin, Sally Jesse Raphael. I'm going to interview later today. That'll be released down the road. Tiffany Thiessen, people who I just think are funny, interesting, fascinating. So we're going to keep the level up here. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, and by the way, it's not always going to be a famous person. As long as they're fascinating, they could be my dental hygienist, but they will be fascinating. That's the guarantee.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot of things to say about a lot of those names you just mentioned, one of which I've interviewed too, but first I'm going to pull a Julie Chen on you before we talk more about your podcast. I have to say, like, when you took the job, as an intern for Jay Leno way back, did you ever think, it would lead to this? Like, did you? Yes.
Yes. I was the only one. Yeah. But I was in college. I was working there for free. I grew up in a little farm town in Washington state, and I would watch like Regis and Kathy Lee with my mom, and I remember just saying like, I'm gonna do that. That's it. That's it. And so it's always been my North Star. But like, I also get that I'm like a cartoon version of a human being. I'm like a Care Bear in real life form. So there weren't people like me on TV. So I was like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And of course it was unorthodox. I went there, I worked for free, I delivered mail. And I was always so curious about how TV worked, who pulled the cord that made the curtain open, who did that, what's a writer, what's a producer. So I would talk to everybody, And it was one of those people I talked to, a writer who, when someone dropped out of covering the Ocean's 11 premiere, said, who's funny? Is that Ross in the hallway? And that's where it started. And I remember thinking, oh, this is how it's going to start.
Wow. So like the whole on air and all that, that was, I mean, it was your plan, but it was really never the plan of them. It just kind of
No.
happened.
No, I
Wow.
was living in the dorms. So then I started on air and they getting more assignments and the ratings were really good. The audience was, tuning in and they were like, "Can you go cover the Olympics in Salt Lake City?" I was like, "Well, I have to ask my professors. I don't know." So I went and as I was on camera, then I would turn to my left and be on my laptop writing a paper. It was just really crazy.
Do you remember the moment when you went from like, checking with professors or, this job behind the scenes to like, wait, that is Ross the intern? Like, do you remember that first, like, understanding? I mean, of course you understood what fame was, but that first, like, wait, I'm famous too.
Yeah, yes. Part of it was like, oh, that's what they're calling me. Oh, and I did it to myself because I remember being in the van. And I was like, this could be a rig. I remember them being like, maybe we won't even air this, the first one. And I was like, well, I don't know. It seems like it could be a recurring thing, like Ross the intern. And you send me out, and they're like, who knows? We'll see how this one goes. And then when they called me, I was like, oh man, now that's my name. I'm going to be. At the time, I was 21, but I'm like, this wasn't a gimmick to me. This was the start of a decades-long career, So I was like, all right, how am I going to turn this, into a career now? So um, I just remember, being very cognizant of like, this is not a gimmick, you guys. This is going to be a thing. But it was me the only one believing it, which I'm fine with. I think as long as we believe in ourselves, who cares what everybody else says.
Totally. And was it always pop culture to you? Like you mentioned, like Kathy Griffin, like, I mean, you mentioned Kelly, and Ryan and
Yeah,
Regis.
Regis and Kathy
Like you
Lee.
grew up with all of that, just loving pop culture.
Yeah, and just like it's almost like I knew I would be there. I knew that I would know them, and I knew that I would. It's like as sure as I knew that this computer in front of me is here. I just knew it, and so it wasn't like I aspired for it one day. It was just like, so when is that going to happen? Because hurry up, I'm like ready for it. Let's go. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, but it's like you said, I mean, I think it's like you gotta believe in yourself and you've gotta, I mean, I've switched careers so many different times. I'm a corporate lawyer who now does this full time. So it's like
Wow.
each time I've switched careers and I had to stop in between, like I was always successful in my career. Now, my personal life, let's not even get into, but it was just like I was like, no, I'm gonna succeed in this new venture in my life. It's just that's how it is.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like when people say like I knew I'd be a parent. I knew I have kids, Like I guess if you just know in your gut something, you can manifest it. Oh, I can't describe it. I can't explain it, but I know it happens.
Well, look, it did happen because after, the Tonight Show, you were everywhere, like, a regular on Chelsea Lately and The Insider and covering every red carpet. Like, you even said on your podcast in this pilot episode, when you interviewed Chelsea, people always ask me about you. So here you are. Like, what was it like working with Chelsea?
Well, that show was so funny. I miss doing that show, but it was tough in the sense that like you had to be on your game. There was no script there. And if you remember, it was Chelsea, who is as sharp as they come. And then there was always three different comics on that round table. And Chelsea would throw out the topic and we would